No, no problem. Hello. Yeah, exactly. So, we're getting to the end of the day. Maybe you're tired. Bear with me. I'm not gonna go for 45 minutes. I would love if you ask questions, just raise your hand during the period. And I think that the role of my role here is to like inform you about the view that we have on integrity and in the longer case the player sustainability. So I want you to have two questions with you that we can discuss afterwards if you don't have any question during my presentation. But like we talk a lot about sustainability, the social sustainability, the corporate social responsibility, but too seldom, in my opinion, we talk about the internal sustainability. How do you work with their own players, their own staff? How do we keep them happy, safe? So the focus shift from integrity, in my opinion, is that we don't see the integrity part as protecting the sport, but as protecting the players and the people within our organizations. So, who am I? I used to be a football player. I played professionally in Sweden for 12, 13 years, something like that. And as a start, I often start, and I always say this because it gives me a confidence boost. When I got to my home club, we were in the second division. I came, and we got promoted to the Allsvenskan, the top league in Sweden. Then when I quit 2015, this is the last game that I played. We won, and we stayed up in the Allsvenskan. And the year after, when I quit, of course, they got relegated again. So it's a confidence boost. Sorry about that. And the other picture is from my first day at work. I started working with the professional leagues in Sweden a couple of months after I quit my football career. So I've been now for 5.5 years in the Swedish Professional Football League. And who are we? We are what we are. The Swedish Professional Football Leagues. Svensk elitfotboll, it's said in Swedish. We represent the 32 best clubs, both the Allsvenskan and the Superettan. So we had quite a spread from clubs with a turnover of 1 million euro to those with 40-50 million euro. So we have quite a big spread, and we're supposed to make everyone happy, and that's not always easy. But we're member-owned. We are member-owned, and the clubs are member-owned. So we don't have big investors. So we have to do as good as we can with what we have and with the members' approval, just like St. Pauli talked about. We're member-owned. Our mission is development, both economical and, of course, as a whole of the organization. The vision is to be the best league in the Nordics. I think we are in some areas, and in some we don't. For example, in the league ranking, we're way down from where we want to be. Like we were in front of Denmark in 2014. Now we're 9 places behind them. So we have a way to go to improve. 57% of Swedish people have a favorite team, which means more than half of the people in Sweden is interested in football. So of course we have a good reach, and we're the biggest sports in Sweden. Even though I'm from Gävle, and there is hockey the biggest sport. What this session will include, what I told you about, the Swedish view. I will talk a little bit of this. I will talk about the integrity work of Sweden, and I will talk about what we actually do in the integrity work or the player sustainability. And then I will talk a little bit about the future, and then I'm done. It's up to you to ask me questions. Normally, this is a sustainability conference, and me as a league integrity officer, maybe you could wonder why am I here? But as I said, we're moving the integrity part to the player sustainability area. So I'm the boss and the worker. I'm the department for integrity. I have a colleague in sustainability, but that's it. That's the department in Sweden. We're a small league. So the Swedish view, changing perspective on integrity. As Nelson Mandela said, sport has the power to change the world, and that's the motto that we live by. We have the authority to, I lost the word, sorry, to create change among young people where politicians can't reach. So, but to reach outside, we think we have to go inside first. So we need to educate our players. We need to take strong integrity matters internally, both by players and staff in the clubs. So that is how we see our role as a league. So the change in perspective, as I said, the common integrity perspective is to protect sports from criminals and stuff like that, from like you need good governance and stuff like that. But we see it as a player sustainability thing. We need to educate the players. We include in more areas than what we had before, and we are developing as we speak. So how do we see it? The internal is what we call the player sustainability, and the external is what we call the social sustainability, which is maybe the subject of this conference most of all, but this is our perspective, and I'm here to talk about that. So the strategy is working inside out and not the other way around. So we don't like to have role models. You have to have educated role models. You can't have role models if they don't know what they're doing. We had this discussion on the last appointment downstairs, where you said like it has to be authentic, it has to be real, and as I see it, I will agree with the guy who asked the question. Like, is it authentic when you have a whole media team taking care of your social media? I don't think so. So we have a problem in that, I think. But what we include in player sustainability is, integrity matters, of course. Core values. We have to educate our clubs and our players about the ethics of the game. We have the match fixing, we have the betting problems, we have the mental health, and we have the online hatred, and of course education as our tools. We're most proud that we created a holistic view of it, that we know, like when I started it was match fixing and I was a speaker, that was it. Now it's much bigger. So you want to come in? Yeah, get in. So the integrity work of Sweden, a little bit of how it works. Like the Swedish Professional Football League, we don't have actually I shouldn't have a job, because the question of match fixing is not a question for us. It's a question for the Football Association, really. But we saw that in 2016, what the players knew about the regulations and what the regulation actually said was this gap. They didn't know anything, and we had a lot of things happening about match fixing and betting on what you could bet on, where the players didn't do what they were supposed to do. So, okay, I was hired. So I visited all 32 clubs. I was speaking about this matter. You have to say no. You have to report if you get a question, if you get knowledge about match fixing. And you can only bet on certain things. You can't bet on your own games and stuff like that. People didn't know that. Me as a player, I didn't know it either. When we talked about this for the sporting directors back in 2010 or something, and we said that this is a threat to Swedish football, they all laughed. Then 6 years later, I was appointed. I did this, and then the year after, we had this huge case with the two biggest clubs in Sweden. AIK and IFK Göteborg, two of the biggest clubs, where the keeper were bribed to concede goals. So it worked the way we wanted it, so it was nice to have done the education before it happened. We got a lot of praise, of course, and the game was postponed. We didn't play it. We played it later, but we couldn't play it on good grounds, so we had to postpone it. So that's the way we started. Now it's getting bigger. We are taking a bigger perspective on integrity, as I said. We are more systematic and digitalized. I will come back to that. We have more areas included, as I said. And first of all, my area is proactive. I don't do the investigations. That's the FA and the police job. So I'm just an informer, so to speak. That's the way we do it. And how do we do it? By admitting and realizing that we have problems. We have problems with betting problems among players. We have problems with match fixing. I think all leagues, all clubs have the problems, these issues. We have problem with players having mental illness. You see a lot of it. You saw it in the presentation of Jacob this morning, where you put so little money to improve it, but it's a fact. It's where we are. And we also include online hatred, and I will come back to that later.
May I ask you something?
Yeah, of course.
How do you know that these are real problems? Like, are you monitoring the incidents with these topics, or are you send out surveys to players, or what kind of research?
Yeah, I will come back to that. There are research being done on, like, for example, betting problems, where we say in the normal population, 2% of people have problems with the gambling, but in football in Sweden, it's 10-11%. So it's a bigger problem with us. And I'll come back to that, because our main partner is Unibet. So I will come back to that, and I will ask on the other question also. Because, we know, like, match-fixing cases, we know we investigated 50 cases 2 or 3 years ago. Now it's gone down a little bit. We don't know if it's Corona or that the police are helping us now, but yeah, we have measurements on everything. Yeah. So, as I said, the enabler, in my case, we have Unibet as a main partner. Kindred is a partner of the EFDN, so we're both members here. And then we have the police force, we have the Swedish FA, the Sports Federation, and the government that we work together with. And I think the Swedish model is working quite good. The only problem we see by now is we had this police force working against criminality in sports with 10 police officers who helped us the last years, the recent years. But now, unfortunately, they're prioritized to gang criminality, so now we don't have the help. Just for a couple of weeks it has been that way, and that is not good for us. We don't like it at all. So, as I said, Unibet is a main partner. When we agreed on the partnership, we agreed that we need to step up the work about integrity. So we did. We agreed on digitalize our education, making sure player and staff have the right knowledge about it, because no one should be able to say if they do something wrong that they didn't know they were doing wrong. That is the responsibility that we feel that we have to take and that we are taking. Because I can put it up for you, but it would be wrong with GDPR to do it. But I can see every player who has done it and which education they have gone through and stuff like that. So, yeah, it feels good in the heart, because before every season they have to do it, and we feel safe that they know what they're supposed to do. Then if they do something, they're breaking the law. Let's ban them. We agreed on conducting a study with the Karolinska Institutet, the research regarding your question there. So as of now, we're finalizing this survey. I will come back a little more later about what it is and how much it is in it. But where we look at these questions like match fixing, betting problem, mental health, and online hatred. How widespread is it among the players, the staff, and the academy in our league? So we're doing that. I never heard that anyone done it in that perspective before, so it will be really interesting, because the result will guide us in what to do next. We also agreed on implementing club integrity officers in our clubs. So what I have another person in each 32 clubs who I educate, who are my contact point in the clubs when things happen. It's not like it happens all the time, but when it happens, it's nice to have a contact in the clubs who get extra information, who the players can turn to if they get to know something and stuff like that. So I think that is a really good step in our work regarding match fixing, but also like betting problems and mental health. They get educated in every possible way. So that was what we agreed on. Then Unibet have the road to zero, and I think that was a perfect match for us because we also want road to zero. 0 games fixed, 0 people with gambling problems, 0 players with mental health issues. Of course, this is not reachable, but it's a good goal to work against. We want to minimize it. We can't take responsibility for everything of this. But this is the way we work together, and I think this is reasonable. I have no problems discussing like partnership with a betting company and then working with match fixing gambling problems, because we see the individuals. If individuals have problems, we need to help them. We want to help them. So I have no problem discussing that. The study made by Karolinska, as I said, I will come back to it. We know we have issues, just like the society, in these questions. Now we want to know exactly how widespread it is within the players and the organizations. So we're doing this survey now, both survey and interviews with players, coaches, doctors, material guys, academy players, to get a picture of this is how it looks. This is what you need to address. So we will get the answers in maybe a month or 2 months, and then from there we will take new steps to work against this problem. As I said, we see the problems, we see the individuals with the problems, and we want to help them. And as I said, we have this different areas where I'm really close to the FA and the sports federation in Sweden. We have meetings like every 2 weeks where we talk how we can impact the government to create better laws, how we can investigate games or players in a better way. So I think the Swedish model works pretty good, except for the police force now no longer being with us. That's a huge problem, because they proposed a law now with much tougher measurements against match fixing, and on the same time they reduced the police force to 0 from 10. So that's a problem. That's the problem I see right now. The action points in our integrity work in the player sustainability, we have 4 bricks, as I said: match fixing, sustainable gambling, mental health, and online hatred. Match fixing, as I said, every year they need to do this education, digital. So every year players come and go, so it's good that they refresh their memories and know exactly what they do. We also included the integrity officer role, as I said. And of course, I also said that we already talked to government, police, other FAs and stuff like that. And now it's moving in Sweden because other sports didn't have my role. Now they're starting up is 6 or 7 other sports to have colleagues. That would be nice. But as I said, we can always talk about it. Here's the footprint that, okay, we posted it. Everyone has done it. We feel safe that everyone knows the rules. So, and that's nice. Responsible gambling. What we could see is players, since there is a bigger issue in sports and our players have problem with betting, of course we need to help them. So we created this education. It was ready yesterday, or if it was Friday maybe, where they have to self-assess. If you can help one man, one individual, that would be great. So just to ensure that we have the right education level, they need to do this education in the same way as the match fixing each year conducted, prove that they have done it, and I can see it in my database. So that is what we do. And of course, building network, because we're not the professionals. We need the help from others when people get in problem. Yesterday, during the when I went here, when I landed, I talked to chairman of one of the clubs where they had a guy in the club with mental health issues and betting problem, and he asked me for help and guiding and stuff like that. And then we have the network with that, so we could put him in the sports psychology track, so to speak. We could help the players when they have problems. So that's the way it works. Then the mental health is both player sustainability issue, but it's of course a society issue and a social sustainability issue. So this on the picture is the text is in Swedish, so I get it if you don't understand it, except my Norwegian friends. But the guy who's heading the ball he's just recently wrote a book about his mental illness. He turned pro at a young age. I think it was in Germany actually, and he was really, his mental health were really not good. He was considering taking his life and stuff like that. And now we use those role models to talk about this, to break the stigma, both internally but also, of course, externally. So even though we didn't have the answer from the study yet, we already have created education for the leaders of the club who work with the youth and the seniors also, of course. So even though we don't have the results yet, we know we have a problem. We are already taking action. So the online hatred, this is actually from last week. We did this, like people in sports, some of them, like myself, says that if you get criticism or hatred online or in person or whatever, I've experienced it. I think everyone who's played have experienced it. It's a part of the game. Of course, criticism is part of the game, but hate is not, and threat is not. So we have teamed up with the Princess of Sweden, no, the Prince of Sweden and his wife. She has to be the princess now, I guess, Sofia. Carl Philip is his name. With Facebook, Sinch, and other big organizations to like address this problem. We also built this education that we're creating for the coaches and the staff of our clubs. So we include a lot of more areas in the integrity of player sustainability than what we did before, when I only was a speaker about match fixing. So this is from last week. We got great media coverage of it. We just now, before I started talking, one of our biggest club made this 3-minute clip from the game in social media where they had the online hatred as commentary. It was quite strong. It's super, like it's on top of the Twitter and Instagram and everything today. So I recommend you to see it. And on the mental health thing, I forgot about it. It's a Swedish player who were in Inter when he was a young boy. He wrote a book, and now it's a movie. It's called Tigers. It's about mental health in a pro club. It's nominated for the Oscars now. So it's a Swedish film. We were there with all our Stockholm-based clubs to see the premiere of it. So I recommend you to see it. It's a really good movie. So what I see for the future, I see improvement. We need to be better all the time. If we talk about match fixing, we have a really cool project which I'm really excited to do. Like, we want to investigate if we could use AI as the technology to detect match fixing. Like, we have all this betting data, but we also have a lot of sport data. How much you run, how fast you run. Can you, in a project, we have the scope, we have got the mathematical things done by professionals, and we're gonna see if it could help us in the future. I'm really excited to start this in 2022. Financed, of course, by Unibet, but as a part of the progress that we're in. So that is what we're gonna do. As I said, my first focus was on the senior team, the men's team, but now the focus has changed. I'm more and more working with the academy in the when you get certificates as an academy, you get a couple of stars. In that we include these educations now, so the youth already have the right skill set to in education. That is how we see the future, and of course the importance of cooperation. Like, I have a good national cooperation. The network international is not that good with other leagues. So of course I'm interested in hearing what others do. We want to be the best, and maybe others are even better than us. So of course, if I can get some help, I'm really thankful for it. Then let's go back to the questions. How do you work in your clubs or in your FA or league association with the question of, like, when I was a player? Of course, I get to know the core value of the clubs that I play for, but that's about it. Do you have like a program for it, or I'm just interested? Anyone?
Yes, we have
Yeah?
something. It is imposed by La Liga,
Yeah?
and they are through the compliance department of the club.
Yeah?
They did every year with all the players in the club a training
Yeah.
for 4 hours or between 3 or 4 hours, less 2 hours, sorry, and with several exercises. And well, we have this approach from them each year, and well, it's kind of useful. They add also topics like sexual harassment and
Yeah.
all this stuff, and well, I think it's a good thing that we have it every year with
Yeah.
all the employees, all the departments.
Yeah. And La Liga is one of the organizations or leagues that I actually talked to, and I met their integrity team in Sweden, and I knew kind of where they were. Any other league or club that has something like this, or how do you work with it? Yeah.
Just have a question.
Yeah.
About the education programs with football players that
Yeah.
you offer. Do you have any tips or tricks in how to start those things? Because in my experience, it's quite hard to address professional players, to really get them to sit down for half an hour or an hour, or even take a survey.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
How did you do it? Because did it help? You were a professional player. Did it help you when you went there, or?
Possible that it helped me because I knew half of the players pretty much since I played with them. But also, the main thing that I think, this was a board meeting between all the clubs where we said this is the way we should do it. Do you agree or not? We agree. So the clubs on that level.
So the players are really obligated
Yeah.
from the club to
Yeah.
participate.
Yeah, in my opinion, I say if you don't do it, you can't play. Of course, we don't have a law, but they don't know it, so they do it. And the integrity officer of the club, it's his responsibility to make sure that they do it. So, like, I don't have to contact 1,000 players. I have to contact 32 club integrity officer to get it done. And of course, no, they're not fast, they're not loving it, but they have to do it, and they have done it so far. So I don't see a problem with it actually. But you need to have it established on the highest level first, that we should have integrity officer, we should have this education, and that we have done. It's a member decision.
And is it obligated for a club to have integrity?
Yeah.
Like in the regulations?
Yeah.
And this club integrity officer, who typically has that role?
It's the sporting director or the player's manager, pretty much. Yeah. So, because we still talk about integrity with sporting directors regarding agents and like transfers and stuff like that. So it's quite reasonable that they also have this role, of course. So, yeah, sporting director or player's manager. That's what we have. Any more questions? Any questions from the audience? I know you're all tired.
It is very interesting because we have to do a lot more at the top
No problems. And as I said, I didn't have this as a workshop. I had it as an information. This is how we do it. I don't know if it's the best or if it's the worst, but this is how we do it and how we think about it. And like I said, we're member-owned. I'm the whole department, so you can do pretty much good things if you have good partnerships and good cooperation, even though you're few. So yeah, this is how we do it, and we're proud of it. So thank you.